All right, so I'm gonna start this video off with no spoilers, and then I'm gonna put a timestamp in the description so you guys can skip if you want to the spoiler section where we get into all the juicy bits and foolishness and good stuff in this movie. All right, before we get into this video, I just want to say that I used to be a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I grew up with it in 7th grade. That's when it came out for me, going from 7th to 8th grade. And that game used to give me bad dreams. I was the type, that game had me running up the stairs at night thinking something's chasing me up the stairs, and I hurry up and close the door. So I was a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, even though it used to make me extremely scared, all the way up until a couple of the newer games came out. I think the creator of the game, Scott, he sold it, I believe, and then it kind of turned into its own thing, like a first person type game, walking around getting scared. I wasn't really into it after the 4th game anymore, and I was getting a little bit older, but that was a game that I grew up on, a scary game at least. But with all that said, I came into this movie with some pretty low expectations. The trailer didn't look that good. It looked like it was more aimed to the kids, which is fair. I understand the kids are the ones that really watch this game. It's really blown up into a kid's game. It's not as scary as it used to be, and there was never really much blood or anything in Five Nights at Freddy's. It was more of a fun, scary game. The idea of it was amazing though, which is why it got a lot of attention, and I was in 7th grade watching it. So I will say I think this movie was a little bit better to me because I came in with low expectations, and because I did that, the movie was better for me. I actually enjoyed it. It delivered everything that I wanted as a fan. But I can't say the movie wasn't really that scary. It's definitely aimed towards kids. I know a 9-year-old, my girlfriend's little brother, he wasn't scared of it at all, but the movie was fun, I'll say that. So I think you'll pretty much either love this movie or you'll hate it. The people that will love this movie are the fans because they stick to the book almost perfectly. There's a subplot because it's a movie, so it has to have more content in it than just being there as a security guard. But I honestly think it would have made a more interesting movie if the subplot was changed a little bit. But for example, if you're my parents that watched us watching that game and thought it was funny and stupid and that we even got scared by it in the first place, people that are over the age of 30 or so are probably not really going to feel this movie like that. If you didn't grow up with it or you're not a huge fan of it, it's not really gonna check that scary movie box for you. The cinematography is really good, and the close-ups with the animatronics never really get old. The animatronics look beautiful. They look good, better than they ever have in the game. They stuck to the design exactly. The animatronics look amazing. The animatronics looked so good to where I couldn't tell if they were practical effects or CGI. They had to be practical mixed with CGI. The movements were perfect. Their outfits were perfect. Everything was just, it looked beautiful. And it made me very happy to see the faithfulness. All the acting in this movie was pretty good, especially Mike. He's the main draw. I think his character fits the type of person that would work at Five Nights at Freddy's perfectly. Along with Abby, his little sister, she was a very good actor as well. I believed her character, I believed her actions. I actually know people, little girls in real life that actually act like that. So there was one actor though, she did a good job with the material she had, but some of her actions in the movie and the things she says are a bit over the top and kind of ridiculous. And yes, I'm talking about the police officer, Vanessa. She is weird. I think that's the best way to put it. She holds in a lot of information, and then later on is this huge exposition dump where she just tells everything, and it's kind of weird about how she goes about it, but we'll get into that in spoilers after. The main character, Michael's story, is interesting. The direction they went with it, where they tied the kids and the lore to original Five Nights at Freddy's, I think they implemented it nicely, but it was just missing something. There was just something that just wasn't there. Something that didn't fulfill me by the end of the movie. Then there was Jane. She was the character that was going up against Mike and making things stressful for him. She was so cartoonishly evil, and it's such a goofy character. She did things that nobody would do in real life, so you kind of have to suspend your disbelief with her a little bit because there are some serious plot holes to that story and her character, and it was just kind of silly, almost like unneeded. The lawyer she was working with though was actually pretty funny. They should have kept him in the movie a little longer. I love the little Easter eggs they have in this movie, especially the sound effects. You hear sound effects from different games, and man, it is so satisfying and nice to hear, especially in a movie theater. It's nothing tops that. I do appreciate that it does explain the lore and everything way better than the games ever did. You kind of had to piece stuff together during the games, but in the movie it was perfect. They explained it and pretty much everything made sense. But it will seem silly to you if you didn't play the games. It's kind of a far-fetched concept that, you know, how everything works, but that's why I understand why people don't really like the movie like that. There are YouTubers in the movie, which I really appreciate. It's almost like showing appreciation to the fans that made this game big, the YouTubers that made this game big. It's crazy to see that YouTubers actually got like some credit for making things more popular. It's just too bad that Markiplier wasn't in there, man. That's who I grew up watching. Markiplier was so entertaining.
No! Oh, fucking fuck! I tried to push it! Oh my god!
But I heard he had things to do, so that was the reason why he couldn't get some scenes in the movie, so that's unfortunate. Hopefully he's in the next one though. It's too bad there wasn't really any jump scares, but I will say when the animatronics are like killing people, it's really satisfying. It's still good to watch. It's fun, you know? I just wish they would have did more of it. So hopefully they see what they did wrong in this movie and what they can do more of, and I think the next movie will be great. The movie sort of falls apart towards the end a little bit. The pacing isn't really that good, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, that's cool. It wasn't a super satisfying ending, but it's a very open-ended ending. So I kind of expected that. I seen that coming. There are two major gripes I have with the movie though. There's no tension ever. I don't think I felt any tension one time in this movie at all, and that's not a good thing for a scary movie. And the other thing is, it's called Five Nights at Freddy's. You don't really feel the nights going by. I wish they would have made the nights more obvious. Maybe like every time it's a different night he goes there, they put a number up or something. It's anything that would have made it feel like Five Nights at Freddy's, specifically 5 nights. It really felt like 3 because there was no attention, or like there was no emphasis placed on how many nights you're there or Mike was there. All right, now we're gonna get into the juicy stuff, the spoilers, the good and the bad, man. It was so much love and hate for this movie all over, but I honestly enjoyed it. So first I want to start off with Max's roommate, the one that was working with Jane. She just dies, disappears, and Mike doesn't ever investigate really to see what was going on. And next thing you know, he just sees her dead in the storage room. And he doesn't really have much of a reaction to it. It's just like, oh, okay, I thought she was your friend. But another thing I found weird is how Abby just really wanted to go to work with him one day. It was kind of like, isn't she quiet and doesn't ever talk to him? Why all of a sudden does she want to go to work? I mean, I guess you could say she was bored. She didn't have anything to do, so she wanted to go out with him. But it was just kind of convenient. Another thing that bothered me was, what do the police do about the missing body and dead people that just disappear and never come back? Nobody investigates. And why are the animatronics so good at hiding dead bodies? They've been getting away with this, had to be for a pretty long time. People keep going to that restaurant or, you know, kid's place and disappearing, or nobody saying what's going on, telling other people about how this place is crazy and haunted. Like, how has this lasted for so long? My favorite part of the movie was when the animatronics were killing people. That was fun. I just wish they spent more time on stuff like that. Foxy running down the hallway, that was so satisfying to see. Bonnie in his little closet. That's so nostalgic, and it was perfect. Like, Bonnie always gets her kills in the closet. I remember that, man. And I think they put a lot of member berries in here on purpose, you know. And I actually really like how up close and personal we get with the animatronics. They aren't just always trying to kill you the whole time, kill Mike and everybody the whole movie, and you actually get to spend time with them. They actually seem like children, and the story makes a lot more sense than it did with the games. It was cool to see Golden Freddy and the bunny, Springtrap, but this is Springtrap before he gets all, you know, messed up, and I can't wait to see the costume they come up with for that. Everything looks so nice, so I have full trust in whoever the set design and costume design people are. They are on point. Then there was the problems I had with Vanessa's character. Like, why does she let Abby and Mike get close with the animatronics and play with them when she knows the history of them? And she holds all this information in from Mike, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, she's like, if you let Abby near her again, I'm gonna shoot you because you're letting her get too close. Woman, you just had her playing with the animatronics, having a good time, talking about, do you want to dance? Hey, let's make a tent, blah, blah, blah. Like, what? Her character was just a little bit messy. I think she shouldn't have been so secretive and established some things in the first place. And why she let her dad get away with this stuff for so long is also very weird, but maybe because it's her dad. Another thing is, I know this has always been a part of Five Nights at Freddy's, but don't the animatronics smell bad if there are dead children's corpses in there? And how does it work with the bodies decomposing? And it just, I don't know, I feel like Mike and this other security guards and people that's worked there would smell them. Like, what are they cleaning them? Like, what happened? There was a YouTuber scene with Corey, and it was it was funny, so you gotta like let it pass, but he lets a little girl in the taxi at night and then a huge animatronic. It does pay off for a little laugh though, because he does a pretty good job with his acting for the couple of scenes he had. Another thing that bothered me was, how did Golden Freddy know where Abby's house was? He just pulls up, kills Jane, and it's just like, come on, like, do they have GPS in their head? How in the world did you get here? Did Scott or Mike tell you something? Like, it doesn't really make any sense, but suspend your disbelief, because I was having a good time with the movie, and it's just like, whatever, this is dumb fun. And then with Golden Freddy getting there, how did he walked there the whole way, all slow and robotic down all the streets to get to their house? And then when Abby gets there with Golden Freddy, Mike doesn't question how she got there either. She's just there. He's just like, there's no mention of anything. It just, the pacing, it just starts getting out of control and things aren't covered, you know? And then it got really silly at the end. How in the world did the lights specifically shine on Abby's pictures? That's when it was like, okay, time for the movie to be over. Like, what's going on here? What's happening now? Because this is starting to, you know, tank. It's starting to get really bad. Why are the lights specifically shining? I know it's supposed to be like Ghost or whatever, but no ghost is controlling the lights. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention was the training video. I actually really enjoyed that part. I know it wasn't that eerie, but it was eerie enough. I think the sound effects and the nostalgia is what really made it perfect for me. Yeah, but what bothered me the most in this movie was definitely Vanessa. She just comes in the movie yapping, doesn't really make sense, and Mike doesn't really ask too many questions about why she knows all this, where she came from. It's just a weirdly written character, her lines and the information she holds. But I personally really like the movie because they stuck to the roots of the game. They were faithful. This doesn't happen very often with adaptations, video game adaptation. It's anime adaptations. None of this, nobody ever sticks. Everybody wants to add their own stuff to it. This was very faithful outside of Mike's story, which makes sense because it's a movie, so I was willing to forgive that. I hope that they stick to the script of the games for the next 2 movies that they plan on making. All right guys, thanks for watching the review. I'll be making some more soon, so make sure you subscribe and peace out.